You're listening to If Only I Were Wiser podcast, where Raina Wilson brings together wisdom and raw life stories to provide encouragement and truth. So many times it's easy to become discouraged in your own pursuit of health because your story or circumstances look drastically different from your favorite influencer or even the expectations you had for yourself. If that is you, welcome! This space is for you to learn, breathe, and maybe just listen and see what wellness could look like for you. Hey friends, welcome back to the If Only I Were Wiser podcast. On today's episode, I have functional nutritional therapy practitioner Laura Lyons. Laura is the owner of Wild Lyons Wellness and the founder of Wild and Well-Fed Wellness Collective, an online course, Rewild Your Gut. She's a women's health nutritionist with a focus on metabolism, hormones, and digestion. Her goal is to help women understand their bodies better, take the fear out of food, and help women thrive in a world of diet culture and confusion. And that's exactly what we dive into for this episode. We talk about all things gut health, as well as all of the common misconceptions about the wellness culture and what we can do about it to eliminate the noise. So let's go ahead and dive in. Hello, Laura. Welcome to the If Only I Were Wiser podcast.
Hello.
I would love to just hear a little bit about your story, what does life look like for you right now before we get into the nitty-gritty stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Laura. I am the owner of Wild Lyons Wellness. I'm a nutritionist and I live in Bend, Oregon with my husband. I would say we live in probably the most beautiful place on planet Earth, but I'm just being biased. Yeah. I grew up in Boston, then I moved to Denver, that's where I met my husband. Then we moved to Chicago, then we moved to Portland, Oregon, and then we ended up in Bend.
Okay.
So yeah, no, we love it here, probably not leaving anytime soon. But yeah, we're into anything that's like outdoors, mountain biking, hiking, backpacking, floating the river out here, climbing mountains. We're just super outdoorsy people. We even recently just renovated, we got a Ford Transit and we turned it into a camper van. So we've been taking that out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So basically my life is spent outdoors mostly. But yeah, we've just created this like insanely incredible life together, and it's awesome. I mean, every day we say, can you believe this is our life? Because we just get to live in this beautiful place and do what we want to do. And it's great.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Definitely jealous, but it's fine. We're fine.
Yeah.
So as we get started, I would love just to hear about how did your platform get started? I absolutely love your platform. I love like your color scheme, like everything. I'm just like, oh yes, Laura, thank you. Yeah. But I would love to hear like how you got started and kind of what that journey has been like for you.
Totally. So I'm a graphic designer that turned nutritionist. Okay. So that's probably why. Yeah, that's probably why it makes sense now. But and I'm not really great at designing my own stuff. You know, like I'm great for other people, but for me, I'm just kind of like I whip stuff together. But I definitely have a good like theme going on my page and all of the things. But yeah, I worked in corporate from the ages of 22 to 30 as a graphic designer. Mm-hmm. So at 30 years old, was it 30? Yeah, 30, I decided to go to school to become a nutritionist after I had been sick most of my life with digestive issues. Then I was on birth control for 12 years, which just wrecked me further, which turned into like hormonal issues, histamine issues, migraines, headaches, you name it, I've been through it. And I basically healed myself through nutrition, just listening to podcasts, diving into stuff online. Doctors would not help me. So I just kind of started doing my own thing. I made a ton of mistakes while doing this though. So after I kind of found my way, I was like, I need to help people. I need to help women and help them not make the same mistakes that I made going into my health journey. So I went to school to become a nutritionist at 30. So I've been doing this, I'm going to be 37. I've been doing this for about 7 years now. And yeah, just been helping people to not make the same mistakes that I did. Get out of diet culture, get out of all the things. You don't need to be, to heal, we don't need to be doing a bunch of diets and restrictive eating, all of the things that I had once done, and that all my clients come to me then have done that and are in a worse place than where they were. So, so I just became a nutritionist. I've been doing that for 7 years now, and just helping women mostly. Yeah.
So what was it like for you to start out in your nutritionist schooling? Was it a holistic foundation?
Yeah.
Or were you in traditional Western nutrition and then you're like, this doesn't work?
So I never went down the Western route. Okay. I obviously, like I said, I went to doctors and they were zero help whatsoever. I mean, they couldn't even correlate the fact that my digestive issues had anything to do with what I was eating. Excuse me? Okay. So I literally just went all in on holistic. And by schooling, I went to the Nutritional Therapy Association because they had more of a animal-based ancestral type of nutrition, whereas something like, the integrative, the IIN, that one is more like plant-based, it's not the Weston A. Price type of nutrition philosophy, which I was really into. So I went that route and I have never looked back. I find that the holistic alternative, even the stuff that I do, you could probably consider it alternative medicine or alternative nutrition, because it's so different from what people, talk about online or what dietitians would ever recommend, or even just your basic nutritionist. It's just very different. In reality, I just want to say that my nutrition philosophy is common sense, honestly. That's exactly what it is.
Totally.
So yeah, I've only really dabbled in the holistic way because I really saw improvements with functional labs and things like that Western medicine just does not offer or even recognize. So
yeah, absolutely. Which I asked because I am a certified nutritionist, but I don't even like saying that because it's nothing that I currently align with, and all of my licensure touches on none of the topics that, like you said, is common sense and how I approach myself, others in my community towards healing.
Totally.
Because I literally took tests on the food pyramid and I'm like, this is so dumb and not,
Yeah, it's not root cause. You're not, it's just what the stuff that I'm doing is more getting to the root cause, and using nutrition as the foundation and maybe some supplements if needed, but really focusing on nutrition as being root cause healing based on what certain foods can do for your system. What certain foods can give you certain energy or minerals or supply your digestion with what it needs, that kind of a thing. So definitely. Looking at more of it's so funny when you see online these people that are food scientists and they're promoting, cereal because it has fortified vitamins. And I'm like, that's food science. You don't know what food science is. I actually look to see what do certain nutrients do in the body and how can this certain food help you to heal, right? That's not what they're doing. I don't even know what food science even is at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to just start picking your brain about all things gut health. I feel like that topic is so trendy right now, and it's definitely not a place that I am super knowledgeable in, but apparently every other health and wellness influencer is.
Yes.
And I'm not even sure that that's, it's not all truth-based or, it's all the sprinkles of the highlight of gut health sexy things right now.
Totally.
So,
yep.
Starting there, what would you say is, someone who's coming into this space, you're like, this is what you need to know about gut health, just setting your foundation?
Yeah, totally. So we tend to forget when it comes to gut health, we tend to forget the idea of nourishment and that our body needs nourishment, minerals, energy to allow our digestive system to work. It's all about elimination when it comes to digestion. Just eliminate the foods you're reacting to. Eliminate this. You end up on super restrictive diets thinking you're reacting to all of these things, when in reality, you're not getting to the root of the problem, which is likely, your environment, your stressors, pathogens, things like that are creating the imbalance for you. Likely something that you've had since childhood, just the poor diet that we've been consuming, eating carbs, naked carbs rather than pairing them with proteins, things like that. All of that, the foundational stuff I speak about for nutrition, has everything to do with digestion. It's about foods that are easy to digest and assimilate and utilize in your body. So instead of eliminating a bunch of foods, let's add in foods, right? Maybe eliminate the junk food, eliminate processed foods. I'm not saying to like go eat anything you want. I want people to be in a place where they can eat whatever they want. It's not going to impact them, right? Because I want you to live a fulfilling, good life. I don't want you to be, you know, thinking that you can't eat things. You know, we should be able to eat whatever we want. But you know, we tend to always hear the recommendations of eat more fiber, take a probiotic, eliminate meat and dairy, and just everything's about elimination, right? So I'm more along the lines of adding in more nutrients so that you can give your body what it needs to heal. Your body will not heal if you're eating air, basically. You know, that's what the recommendation is. So yeah, I mean, some of the stuff I would recommend implementing have nothing to do with even like your food, but more so how you eat. You know, eating not in front of a TV, not in front of your phone, chewing your food, eating a parasympathetic state, you know, maybe taking a deep breath before you eat. You know, we're all just rushing around and we expect that our digestive system is going to be able to rest and digest. Absolutely not, right? So chewing your food would probably be like the number one, and not eating in front of TVs or phones or just being distracted. You know, you have to think too, if your body is in chronic like fight or flight, your body always thinks that you're like running from a bear. So all of your blood gets pumped to your extremities to run from this bear, right? So it doesn't give a shit about your digestive system, right?
That's true.
Absolutely not. So yeah, I would definitely say the stress piece is huge. My course, Rewild Your Gut. That's a good one. Kind of teach you how to add foods in that you eliminated because you thought they were a problem at one point. Help you to actually heal your digestive system, not just eliminate a bunch of foods and think that like that's just sustainable for the rest of your life, or go on a keto diet, or, you know, a low carb diet, or whatever it may be. I did the low FODMAP diet for 3 years. That was a huge mistake on my part. It just created a massive histamine issue for me trying to add in foods back in. So it actually teaches you how to just heal your digestive system without needing to eliminate tons of foods. Is there a time and a place to eliminate foods? For sure. I mean, I have seen that happen with some people, especially people that are really struggling and just need their life back, right? So they're like, you know, I might need to eliminate a few foods just while we're working on the root cause of your issues, and then try adding those back in eventually. But, you know, it's not always the case. And I think a lot of us just make the mistakes because we're just hearing influencers and people saying, oh, you need to eliminate this, or you need to take this supplement, or, you know, everybody always has the answer, right? Everybody has the answer, but I don't think the answer is ever just eliminating a bunch of foods willy-nilly on your own and just expecting that that Band-Aid is going to heal you, because it's not. And it will actually put you in a worse place in the end. Because like I said, your digestion needs a lot of nutrients. So by eliminating a lot of nutrient-dense foods, which is what a lot of people recommend, you're not doing your body any favors.
Yeah, that's so good. And I definitely resonate with that because I fell into that trap as well. You know, like I started working with some friends that were practitioners, and, you know, you go through all of the inflammatory foods, you go through the meats, you go through the glutens, you go through the dairies. And like for a season I did, you know, like I saw some like results, but it's not sustainable, right? Like I never want to encourage anyone to cut out a whole food group because it just doesn't work.
It doesn't, and you end up in a worse place. I mean, by me doing this low FODMAP diet for so long, like in an attempt to heal my digestive system, I ended up losing my period, my hair was falling out, my metabolism got wrecked, my thyroid got wrecked. So great, I had this Band-Aid where my digestive system wasn't taking over my life, but then it actually wrecked my life in the end. So it's, you know, it's not worth it. It's really not. So that's why my hope is, especially with Rewild Your Gut and even like my Instagram page, is to help people realize like diets are Band-Aids, you know, eliminating foods is not the answer. But of course, like I said, like a lot of the times, a lot of us would just do good just eliminating processed foods. If you just focus on eating food from nature, meat, vegetables, cooked vegetables, and just fruit and dairy and these things that, was created for us to consume, not man-made crap, your digestive system would be 1,000 times better, and the problem is we go carb free, right? Some of us are just eliminating carbs. So it's like, oh, let me just add in some stevia, or I'm going to start adding in these sugar free things. It's like, that's not the answer, So it's like everything has a consequence. Diets all come with consequences. Every food, if you overdo it, there's going to be consequences, right? So, I mean, I could go on more about like vegetables, and like, I'm not a huge fan of vegetables, especially raw vegetables. Those can be so irritating to people's guts, and I find people find massive relief. But the good thing is that eventually, if you want to go and have a salad at some point and you've healed your gut, you can do it and you can be fine. But it's overdoing it, because a lot of us are coming from that diet culture background where we're like adding tons of raw greens to smoothies. And, we associate health with like 2 salads a day, salads at lunch with just some like basic chicken or something, or maybe not even that. Maybe we switch to like tofu, or like it's the raw salads, the smoothies, the protein shakes, like just these things that are so gut irritating. So most of us find that we're doing okay, and then we switch to this like what we think is a healthy diet, and it ends up destroying us in the end.
Oh yeah. I definitely did all of the above. Like I think back now, and I'm like embarrassed to say this out loud, but I remember doing like a very like RP strength. I was like across all of the things during college, all the health fitness things. And like on my nutrition plan, I had to have like 4 cups of like vegetables. So I was like in the morning blending my like first form greens powder with 2 handfuls of spinach in that Minute Maid 0-calorie lemonade. And that was like my green lemonade in the morning.
So bad. I mean, you might as well just add some nut milks in there. I mean, it's just overdoing it. The people that are the healthiest are people that have never gone down that healthy rabbit hole, that quote unquote healthy rabbit hole, and have just eaten a normal balanced diet, not the standard American diet, but just a normal basic balanced diet. Those people are the healthiest. They're doing great. It's crazy.
Oh, for sure. So what are some of the things that you would say, like off the top of your head, that people may not realize is like gut irritants or gut irritating symptoms, but they're like, oh, this is just, this is life, not realizing, oh, it's because you had 4 salads today. Yeah. And you're only drinking water, Yeah.
And that's the problem is when it comes to gut issues is a lot of the times you don't react right after you eat something that's irritating. It can take a while, especially if you have like slow transit time too. So it can take a while. So you might not associate that salad you ate at lunch with the bloating and the gas that you're experiencing at 8 p.m., right? So then you're thinking it's probably something that you ate at dinner, which usually is not the case. Everything adds up. So especially with like gluten and stuff, people that are sensitive to gluten. So for me in particular, gluten was huge, getting rid of that for my diet. So that was a very particular case where like that's an absolute no for me, where that was like the root of everything for me was the gluten. Wow. So I got rid of that, and I couldn't, obviously at the time, I'm like, it's not the gluten, I just had XYZ and I feel fine. But it was more so, I was getting psoriasis flare-ups. I was getting cramping in like my lower left quadrant of my stomach. I was getting like what else? I had like so many flares, so headaches, things like that. Like there's so many things that are associated with gut health that have nothing to do with gut health. I have so many clients that are like, oh, my digestion is totally fine. And then we run some other testing like blood panels or whatever. And I'm like, no, your digestion is not fine. And then we run a GI map, and these people that are claiming like their digestion is fine, it's actually the most wrecked I've ever seen. Wow. I'm like, okay, So yeah, I think literally you can probably bring down, I mean, your digestive system is the cornerstone of everything. It's how you utilize, how you break down nutrients for energy. So, like the minerals, we can talk about minerals all we want, but guess what? Like, why are your minerals out of whack in the first place? Probably because your digestion got you there, right? You're not utilizing and breaking down nutrients for energy. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And like I said, I've definitely fallen into that trap on like even the other side of the spectrum of like, all pro-metabolic, all minerals, all this, like all the trendy stuff that everybody's talking about now. But I love how you mentioned like mindfulness first as your foundation, like just adding in mindfulness to your nutrition, period.
Yeah.
And straying away from some of those like Band-Aid surface level things. So talking about Band-Aid surface level things, where does supplementation come into this conversation? Because the number one thing I hear, even I had this conversation with family members, is like, my dad has like intestinal issues, had a whole like gangrenous appendix when I was in high school, went through the whole GI kind of big thing. And the first thing I think people told him was like, all right, add a probiotic and then you'll be great for life. And I'm like, what?
I know the probiotic thing gets me, and it pisses me off too, because I see online just tons of influencers like, use my code, get this probiotic. And like, they'll have this like whole sob story about how it healed, all of their digestive issues and their skin issues and this and that. And I'm like, you're lying to people. Like, this probiotic did not do that. And like, it drives me up a wall. Like, can it maybe be a good addition to a protocol? Maybe. Probiotics are strain specific. So, a probiotic for somebody that has diarrhea is going to be a lot different than somebody that has constipation. So they're just very different. Also, most are complete trash. You have to refrigerate them, right? Why are we refrigerating a probiotic that's going into a 98-degree body? Your stomach acid's going to kill that the second it goes in, right? Doesn't make much sense. So most probiotics are complete trash, and people that have specifically like SIBO are going to do way worse on a probiotic. So yeah, I mean, supplements, especially probiotics, are super individual. And I talk about this even like in my course, in my membership, all of the things people always ask, because that's literally, I'll have friends to this day that will still message me and they're like, so I'm dealing with some anxiety. Do you think a probiotic would be good?
What?
A probiotic? Excuse me?
Yeah.
I'm like, are we friends? Yeah. Do you follow me online?
Like, do you see any of my content?
Because you shouldn't. Yeah, like, do you read my stuff? Because yeah, no, I couldn't believe some of the messages I get sometimes. I'm just like, no. But it's just because we're being brainwashed by people, influencers and stuff that want to sell you crap, That's one thing you'll notice. I never sell anything on my page because everybody's so different. So I'd have to be very specific about these things. Unless it's something food-based, I'm not going to really sell a supplement, because it's so individual to people. So, yeah.
Which unfortunately nobody wants to hear.
I know.
It's like, what pill can I pop?
Yep.
So that I like don't bloat anymore. And again, like I said, I fell into that season. I took the greens powder that magically healed all of the things, whatever.
A lot of it's mind though. So it's like, honestly, like somebody will take something and be like, oh, it made me feel so much better. And it's like, yeah, because you put in your mind that positive vibe that you're going to heal from whatever this thing is. So a lot of the times it's mind over matter. And you think something's healing you just because you had such great hopes for it. Our mind is so powerful. And we always forget that too.
And I would love to hear like the connection and the importance, because like you said, people don't understand there's a literal mind-gut connection. So like there's a possibility that you're stressy and depressy because your tummy is mad. Like, I would love to dive in there.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's not even just that, it's kind of the mineral piece too. So I talk a lot about on my page about how minerals impact like your personality and stuff. So like I'll run a hair tissue mineral analysis and I'll get it back and I'm like, oh, I know, I can already tell how this person's going to be on the call before we even hop on the call, because I can tell how their personality is going to be, you know? So there's certain personality types for people that have high copper on their test, or biounavailable copper, or high iron, or high calcium. It's all like they have very similar personality traits. And guess how these minerals got wrecked in the first place? Stress in your digestive system. So you can actually associate certain minerals and certain bacteria in your gut with mental illnesses.
Wow.
So yeah, it's crazy. But again, I think it's kind of, that's where like digestion and minerals kind of come in play by play. They're very intimately connected. So when we have a digestive issue, we're going to have a mineral issue too, which then can impact our state of mind too. So yeah,
which is just so fascinating, because of course that's going to be the last thing that like my doctor would would tell me.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, it's crazy. Doctors don't understand this stuff. They don't even understand minerals. Like I would have people like, you know, they would go to the doctor for something and they would share their HTMA with them and they're like, oh no, that doesn't mean anything. Like what? They just don't believe it. They weren't trained in it. They weren't trained in root cause. You know, I can't blame them. It's just like, you know, they're there to help with symptom management. That's what they're there for. You know what I mean? So I can't blame them for this. They're trained in pharmaceuticals. They're not trained in even basic body functions, you know, and how they operate. So, I mean, it makes sense, but.
Right. So what would be like, aside from like mindfulness and addressing some of these like root cause with a practitioner?
Yeah.
Not on your own. Don't just cut gluten out of your diet. What are some like 3-step foundational things that you would like off the cuff just be like, look, generally, again, everything's bio-individualized, but generally this might be helpful to just start for, I'm sure, all of the people like me that wrecked it.
Totally. So stress, number one. I mean, that is the number one. I mean, the more and more I work with women, I just realize stress is the culprit to everything. You know, we can talk about supplements, we can talk about all of the things, running labs, all of this stuff, but until you get stress under control, nothing's ever going to get fixed. Honestly, it won't. So, you know, if your nervous system's chronically activated, your digestive system isn't going to function. So getting stress under control, whatever that looks like for you, is going to be the number one. Blood sugar balance too. So blood sugar balancing, eating every 3 to 4 hours is going to be super helpful. Usually if you're dealing with digestive issues, I usually say 4 hours, 4 big meals a day. So, you know, giving your digestive system a little bit of break, not snacking all day, just giving it a little bit of a break for that migrating motor complex can be really helpful for some people. Other people though, on the other hand, might need to eat more frequently, especially if they're prone to like gas. So I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but if you wait too long to eat, do you get super bloated after you eat? Yeah, it's because you waited too long to eat. So that's why I really like this. Like, that's why, you know, a lot of people say like, oh, I'm fasting for my digestive system. You're just, again, it's a Band-Aid, right? But the thing is that when you eat, you're probably going to end up bloated. So that's why that 3 to 4 hour mark not only balances your blood sugar, but it will also help with your digestion too. So balancing blood sugar, and then ditching the plant-based crap. Just stop. Just stop with it all.
Louder for the people in the back.
It's just, oh my God. It's just, like I said, we get into this mindset where, you know, we go from eating like no vegetables, we come from like this standard American diet, to then it's like, I'm just going to pound down all these raw vegetables all day because they're healthy. No, they can actually be super gut irritating for people. I mean, you know, think about like a piece of green or like lettuce just like in your digestive system, right? Just like fermenting in there, you know, like, come on, like it doesn't make much sense. It's not the type, we're not, you know, we're omnivores. We eat meats and plants, we eat everything, but in balance, we cannot be overdoing it on all of these plants. So I do find that most people do best eliminating raw vegetables. That's a huge one. So eliminating the raw vegetables, you know, like I said, on occasion, it's probably fine once you get your digestive system into a better place. You know, I'll have like a Greek salad here or there, like as a side, but again, that's not the main event. That salad is not the main event. So we need to make sure we're also having some animal protein and fat, and then we can have the salad as well. And also pairing that salad with starchy carbs as well. So having some potatoes or something with it can be really helpful. Not just thinking we're just going to pound down protein shakes and raw vegetables all day long and expect that we're not going to be bloated and feel like crap. That stuff's also not super nutrient dense. So our soils are so depleted now that you're not even getting nutrients from those. And like I said, your digestive system requires nutrients. So choosing more superior animal-based foods and then plants is kind of like a little side, that's going to be your best bet. So it's not about eliminating them completely. It's just about like figuring out what works for your digestive system at this time, you know?
Definitely. Which I like lived a season of going, I did the keto, I did the intermittent fasting, like you said, that was absolutely miserable.
Yep.
I will never do that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, making the transition to holistic nourishment, but also like I shared on my own platform this week, we're working through a whole mold crisis with our family. So like that I know is playing a whole other role. But like my foundation right now is my body is stressed the F out right now. The best thing I can do is just eat and sleep. And a lot of people just don't want to hear that. Because I'm not focusing on supplementation. I'm not adding in all of these things that I've seen over the past year that are miracle things. I'm sure they are. I'm just trying to sleep and I'm just trying to eat. And nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah. And that's the best you can do. And that's fine though. And that's what your body needs right now. Everybody needs to realize too, like you can't go on stress hormones for so long. Eventually your body is going to crash. And sometimes you do just need periods of rest. And that might look like, you know, just making sure you're focusing on sleep, making sure you're eating every 3 to 4 hours, and your body will, you know, feel safe and good doing those two things. So no, I totally agree. That's just something sometimes, you know, everything changes too. You know, our bodies are constantly changing and adapting to our environments, and we need to honor that, you know?
Like I just took a whole month off of the gym and I was like, I am a fitness trainer. I use air quotes because I hate that word. But I was like, I took a month planned off the gym because like I said, I'm way too stressy and depressy to like my body's not going to focus on building protein. My body's not focusing on recovering. My body is not focusing on actually digesting these nutrients because it thinks that I'm going to be murdered in my sleep for whatever reason. You know, like your body cannot distinguish the difference between me being stressed because I need to make an appointment on time and my son won't get in the car versus like I'm about to die.
Yeah.
Stress is stress.
Yeah. And it's good that you have come to that conclusion though, because that's where people struggle. And even I still struggle with this. Like I've been doing these like hip opening, this is weird, but I've been doing these hip opening exercises. And it's supposed to like release trauma and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, like I'm on day 7 and I'm like, I'm just weak. Like, I am just like working out this week. It's just not going to happen. But I know that and I honor that. Whereas before I would have been like, absolutely not, never. Laura. You are getting into the gym. You are working out. You cannot be tired. You cannot take time off, you know? And it's good to get to that point where it's like you can take a month off of the gym and be like, okay, this isn't going to kill me. This is just what my body needs. And I think that's the biggest thing that's missing is most of us don't have that innate wisdom anymore. You know, we're just told to constantly go. And, you know, once we actually start listening to our bodies, we start to realize like, wow, okay, like, you know, my body does need rest sometimes and we have to honor it.
Yeah. And I think it also stems from like this consumer mentality that I definitely fall into, you know, on my own wellness platform in comparison. But I would love to just hear like, what are some of the biggest like wellness misconceptions that you think the wellness community is like getting wrong and they should stop telling people?
Yeah. Oh God, I probably have a list a mile long. I mean, I think my entire Instagram page is trying to like debunk all of these things. I would say cholesterol, that's a big one. Saturated fat, salt, meat, dairy, huge one. Basically, I just get really frustrated that people are not using common sense anymore. And we need to realize like we've been consuming these foods for decades. It's not the food. It's not the food's fault. There's other stuff going on in our environment. There's, we're just being bombarded with way too much. And I think we just need to realize like food from nature is not the enemy, right? And we also need to realize that overdoing any food is going to have consequences. Any food. That can be any food, even ones that are super nutrient dense. So a balanced diet is key. That is why I never promote, just eating like keto, high or carnivore or low carb or vegan or vegetarian or any of those things. You're missing out on so many nutrients. You need a balanced diet from nature, and people are just missing the mark. And it's like, I just get really annoyed because some of these people like go into these like scientific like studies on like why cholesterol is bad and it's going to like kill your longevity and all of this stuff. And I'm like, okay, but we're missing huge components from these studies. And like, I'm just getting annoyed because it's like, what about quality of life, right? Like we're getting rid of like we no longer have any quality or enjoyment in our life because we're hyper focused on having an egg because it has cholesterol. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's like the least of what we should be worrying about, right? Like the least. So people are like no longer living their life. They're just living in these bubbles, like consumed by all of this crazy information. And anytime you're eating, and if you're thinking this is bad for me, guess what? You're going to react. It's going to be bad for you because your mind, like I said, is really powerful.
I love that. Which is so interesting because I remember in college I studied nutrition, and I remember hearing like eating an egg a day is as bad as smoking a cigarette. I know.
I can't.
And then yesterday I was like, typically I avoid caffeine or coffee on my period. And I was like, but I also just want a dang cup of coffee. So I'm going to have it. And people are like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's like the point. It's your life. Yeah. Do what you want.
Yeah, because everybody just starts creating their own like food rules in their head, and you just go crazy, you go absolutely nuts. And, it's like I said, it's really just about eating foods from nature, foods that you enjoy, ditching the processed man-made crap. That's literally what it all comes down to. It is not rocket science. It is common sense. That's it. Listen to your body. It's always speaking to you. It's telling you things all of the time. So you know exactly what you need or what you don't need.
Yeah. I would love just to know your thoughts because we had this conversation in the DMs, but the continuous glucose monitors, they're all the rage right now.
Again, it's just a trend, and it's like I get so caught up in this. And my whole idea behind it is like, of course, if you're like a practitioner and you've been doing this for decades and you're like, I'm going to put on a blood sugar monitor just to, maybe be able to better help my clients or better, see things. That's one thing. But to be then advertising it with a code on Instagram and telling everybody that they should be, focusing on their blood sugar and getting this monitor, most people would have no idea how to read that or understand it because there are a million things impacting your blood sugar. So people would be seeing this spike and thinking, oh my God, like something's so wrong. And they're not understanding the basic concepts of combining foods appropriately. They're just thinking, oh, carb is the enemy now. I can't have carbs, And so it just drives me nuts that people are like advertising this stuff when it's like, it really just confuses people more and makes them fear food. So it's like, if you want to do that, you do that on your own time. You do that. You have been in this field for how long? You can do that. Or if you work with somebody and you're working very closely with a client, by all means, have at it. But we cannot be advertising that everybody should be using blood sugar monitors. It just creates more problems. So.
Because that, like you said, it's all these like trendy things I've noticed, like instead of falling to the end of the spectrum on diet culture and over exercising and like, ignoring my period, like all of that side of the spectrum, I've found there's this whole other end within the wellness and health community that is almost just as toxic sometimes. It's like,
totally.
Instead of eating like, being fearful over eating the Pop-Tart, now it's like I can't consume seed oils and nut milks and I can never have coffee and do all of these things. And heaven forbid I have a glucose monitor, I eat fruit.
Yep, I know. And holistic health has become extremely toxic. And it's just like this never ending to-do list. And I'm just like, I never want to contribute to that. Like I will give my, I'll throw out some, informative posts that I think can help people, but I never want to be that person that's like, you have to get rid of this. Like you're just, everything's toxic, this, that. I never want to be that person ever. I don't want people to ever feel like people are already stressed out just because of the lives that they're living. Like I can't contribute to it. And it's just, sometimes ignorance is bliss, right? So like, just let it be, My mom is living, thriving. She's almost 70 years old and ignorance is complete bliss in her mind. And that's fine. And I see how, happiness and joy play a way bigger role than, what supplement or what diet you're following. Yep. So, if you were to ask anybody in their old age right now, I bet they would say the exact same thing.
Absolutely. And I love that because like this whole trend and this movement towards like the pro-metabolic sphere and having conversations about some of the things that like, you're right, I wish I had known sooner. And I probably would have been a little bit kinder with my female body and just common sense anatomy. And like, I wouldn't have consumed like tofu when my husband went vegan. Like, I know some of these things now, but I'm so appreciative of your platform because I definitely align with what you said of like, I want my space to be a place where I bring people with a whole lot of different views on a whole lot of things that people are probably going to argue about. But in the end, like if we're stressed out and sad and like being just as restrictive in our holistic health, you might as well be eating the McDonald's because like it's a moot point.
Totally. If you're not nourishing your life, I don't care about nourishment when it comes to food. Like literally your life matters way more. And I've seen this over and over and over again. People always wondering, I'm doing all of the things, but I'm not getting better. And of course, I don't know what all of the things are for them, but a lot of the times it's just the way that they're living their life. We're not, especially as women, we're just like no longer living in feminine energy. We are just so masculine. Even if we want to think that we're not, we are.
Yep.
And, we just need to, once you kind of step into that, you start realizing like, to eat for like health and nourishment as opposed to a body size, your whole life just like changes. It's like, boom, done.
It completely opens up. Yeah. Like I'm supposed to have curves.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like this is crazy. I don't look like a 14-year-old boy anymore. What?
Yeah.
I would love to hear like how your heart has been, because I know you've shared it on social media, just like the frustration of like trying to be that resource, and Instagram is just like a turd of a platform right now.
Oh, I know.
But how do you kind of wrestle with this, seeing everything, seeing all these practitioners and just seeing the overwhelm of information and like navigating that for your own practice and your own heart?
Yeah. So like I said, you kind of really need to get to know your own body. I think, it's one thing to just unfollow people that are not serving you. The problem is that it's kind of always like watching a train wreck. So you want to continue to follow these people that you see are just spiraling down just because it's like a movie, like, oh,
you gotta
what's
finish
going to happen next? Yeah. But in reality, that's probably ruining your mental health and your well-being. So unfollowing anybody that is just making you feel uncomfortable in your body, making you question things that you thought you were doing well, So that's a big one. But yeah, just really getting to know your own body. And like, I think that can be done just by stepping away. Just step away from social media, stop going down rabbit holes, just be. Just be in your own body, test things out yourself, we're just so disconnected from our bodies that we're like hoping some practitioner or influencer is going to have the answer for us. Nobody does. Nobody ever will. No study, no practitioner, whatever it be, is going to have an answer for you. So just really getting to know and understand your body is going to be best. And then also, working with a practitioner is going to be best so that you can actually get an individual plan and like just stop going down rabbit holes constantly. So
yeah, like the saving the Instagram post of like, I love the wisdom, like I love your content.
Yeah.
But I also know that like if people aren't in the same space of like having the discernment to like walk through some of these topics, it's, you're coming from one extreme to quite literally the other end of the spectrum.
Totally. And I that's what I try to like really nail in with my content is like, if you sit and think about my content, it is pure common sense. It is literally common sense. And we've just been so bombarded with all of these other ideas that now common sense just isn't even something that any of us, we don't have common sense anymore. Nobody does. We can't figure anything out on our own.
Well, I would love to plug all of your resources. Where can our community find you? I know that you've mentioned your course, All Things Gut Health.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I do spend most of my time on Instagram, even though I've been completely canceled and shadow banned on there. I guess I'll still continue.
Yeah.
But yeah, Instagram, at Wild Lyons Wellness. And then I also have a private community membership as well, which is amazing. We have about 400 women in there, and we're in there every day answering questions. You basically have two nutritionists, me and my partner, Annika, at your fingertips. We're like best friends. So it's kind of a cool dynamic when we're in there. Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun. And yeah, we have tons of free content in there. You can order labs in there too. So we offer all the functional labs so you can kind of get to the root of your issues. And I also have Rewild Your Gut. So I have that course, just a do it at your own pace course, which is literally super comprehensive, amazing. It's like a massive resource that you can take into like life with you. You can use with your family, everybody. It's amazing. So
yeah, I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I have one more question for you as we close with all of our guests. And I'm curious just to how you'll answer, because you've already shared like a wealth of wisdom. But if you could provide any wisdom to your younger self or for a community that is listening, what would you share?
So kind of what I said earlier about like eating and exercising for your health, not a body shape, and probably just that diets have consequences. So those are my words of wisdom.
Yeah. Mic drop. Done. Well, Laura, this has been so awesome. I've learned a lot, and I've just been really blessed by a similar spirit.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, for sure. It's been fun.
And we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Thank you for listening, friend. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you don't want to miss any wisdom or encouragement, be sure to subscribe to the show. And don't forget to rate and review. Your feedback means so much and helps our community grow. If you're looking for more wellness wisdom and free resources, head over to livingwiselywell.com or get connected with me on Instagram at wiselywell. And if you're looking for a break from the hurried health lifestyle, check out my Return to Rest resource for tangible ways to slow down and finally find rest.